Hey everyone, and welcome back to another news alert. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and thank you so much for tuning into Boyd News. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more updates like this. And feel free to support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee. Links are in the description below the video. So I've got big information out of the White House from the Trump administration regarding military action against Venezuela. A news story has broke today on CBS News that top White House officials have presented Trump with military options, and a decision to attack Venezuela militarily could be announced within a short time frame. Here's a new story here on your screen. It says Trump briefed on military options for Venezuela, strikes on the table. Senior officials, including Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane, presented Trump with military options for Venezuela, including potential land strikes. No decision has yet been made. Okay, so it looks like momentarily we could be hearing an announcement that the U.S. military is going to go into Venezuela carrying out some strikes. Possibly some sort of land operation has been reported in the recent past. We know there's a huge military buildup off the coast of Venezuela right now, upwards of 16,000 troops, along with dozens of different aircraft. We have a nuclear submarine over there, and also just on Tuesday, the USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier has also arrived in the Caribbean Sea off the coast of Venezuela as well. So these are very big indicators that very soon we're going to see some sort of decision on strikes over there. We'll talk more about this story. I'll give you guys more details on that. We also have information on X today that U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has announced a new military operation that could be linked to Venezuelan narco-terrorists and could be the start of military action on Venezuela. That's very big news as well. I'll show you guys that statement from Pete Hegseth today on X. So lots of things that I've got pulled together here, compiled to share some information on what's going on over here with Venezuela and the U.S. And is the U.S. prepared to carry out strikes over there? Looks like it could be coming here very soon. So let's jump on over to a mainstream news report from CBS News. It says top officials present Trump with military options for Venezuela in the coming days. And it says updated here on November 13th, 2025. So it's just coming out today. It says senior military officials on Wednesday presented President Trump with updated options for potential operations in Venezuela, including strikes on land, according to multiple sources familiar with the meetings at the White House. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff Dan Kane, and other senior officials briefed the president on military options for the coming days, the sources said. No final decision has been made, however, two of the sources told CBS News. White House spokespeople did not immediately comment. Pentagon spokesperson declined to comment. And it says the U.S. intelligence community assisted in providing information for potential operations, as sources said. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard did not attend White House discussions because she was returning from an overseas trip. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was in Canada at a G7 summit of foreign ministers. We'll talk about him in a little bit. I'll show you guys a video regarding Venezuela also with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio making some comments. So as we can see here, Trump has been briefed on military strike options over there. We'll see what they plan to do, but considering the fact that this USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier is off the coast of Venezuela, I'm expecting something to go down here very soon. So we're going to hop on over to X now. Let me share a few more things for you over here. This is from the Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. President Trump ordered action, and the Department of War is delivering. Today, I'm announcing Operation Southern Spear, led by Joint Task Force Southern Spear and Southcom. This mission defends our homeland, removes narco-terrorists from our hemisphere, and secures our homeland from the drugs that are killing our people. The Western Hemisphere is America's neighborhood, and we will protect it. So interesting, the timing of this statement coming out. So announcing Operation Southern Spear now, they're talking about the entire Western Hemisphere and pretty much going after these narco-terrorists. And we know for pretty much months now, the U.S. has been carrying out numerous strikes onto narco-terrorist boats, or at least boats that could be connected to Venezuelan narco-terrorists. And many times these terrorists being killed in these strikes and these boats being destroyed. I think more than 20 strikes have been carried out in the Caribbean Sea over the last few months. And now we're waiting to see, is the U.S. going to carry out these strikes inside of Venezuela now, especially with statements coming out like this. I also gave you guys a story, I think it was just before I went on vacation last week, somewhere around Tuesday or so, or Monday of last week. that apparently the U.S. is preparing to go on the ground, even inside of Mexico, to go after narco terrorists over there, also and drug cartels. So I wonder if that has anything to do with it. But clearly, they're talking about the Western Hemisphere, which is a very large portion of the world. And could this be linked to a potential operation onto Venezuela? You guys can let me know what you think. But the timing of this is interesting. At the same time, we've got information that Pete Hegseth also briefed Trump on some strike options today. Now, from Lindsey Graham, this is going to be a U.S. Senator out of South Carolina in the United States. He says, to those who wonder about what's going on in Venezuela, you should understand President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the narco-terrorist state of Venezuela from continuing to poison Americans with illegal drugs. President Trump also believes Maduro is an illegitimate leader whose days are numbered. I agree with President Trump's assessment of the situation in Venezuela. I do not consider Maduro a legitimate leader, but rather a drug trafficker who has been indicted in U.S. courts. Bush 41 took Panamanian leader Noriega down under similar circumstances. It's a drug caliphate in our backyard that includes Venezuela, Colombia, and Cuba. I'm very glad President Trump is dedicated to ending this reign of terror. The sooner Maduro leaves, the better for the people of Venezuela and the United States. So, serious statement here from Lindsey Graham showing huge support for U.S. President Donald Trump going after the Maduro regime. Now, are they going to try to unseat him and remove him from power? I think it's highly likely that's going to be another major thing that goes down inside of Venezuela. Not only will we see military strikes on drug cartels, but possibly strikes on him as well, or some sort of operation to try to remove him. And he was actually citing the Wall Street Journal here. It says the U.S. Navy's largest aircraft carrier arrived in waters near Latin America on Tuesday. This was just 2 days ago, expanding the American military's buildup as the Trump administration seeks to ratchet up the pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Okay, so that was just confirming that the USS Gerald Ford has arrived off the coast of Venezuela and is currently there right now. Also, take a look at this open source intel. Marco Rubio on Venezuela. They don't have a government. There's an illegitimate regime that's basically our narco trafficking organization. So even U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio here confirming what Trump believes is that the Maduro regime is not a government and Nicolas Maduro is not even the legitimate president. That's also a major sign that we're going to see something, some sort of military action being carried out in Venezuela. Take a look at this, about 30 seconds.
To Venezuela's government saying that it's doing a massive military mobilization in response to what they call a threat from the United States?
Yeah, they don't have a government. There's an illegitimate regime that's basically a narco-trafficking organization that's empowered itself. By the way, many of the countries represented here at the G7 don't recognize the Maduro regime as a legitimate government. So I don't generally respond to what they're saying. Suffice it to say that the problem we have is that the senior leader of that regime, of that illegitimate regime, is also indicted in the United States in the Southern District of New York on drug charges.
To Venezuela's government.
So there you go, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirming that the Trump administration believes that Nicolas Maduro is not the legitimate president inside of Venezuela, and again, possibly indicating very soon we're going to see some sort of military action down there. So how is Venezuela responding to this? I want you guys to see this as well from The Hill. And it says Venezuela military launching massive mobilization amid tensions with the U.S. This was coming out yesterday on November 12th, 2025. It's a little video that they had playing there. But it says here, Venezuela said late Tuesday that it is launching a massive deployment of nearly 200,000 soldiers in response to the U.S. sending its largest aircraft carrier into the waters near Latin America and rising tensions between the two countries. Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez said officials were placing the entire country's military arsenal on full operational readiness with preparations including the massive deployment of ground, aerial, naval, riverine, and missile forces. Padrino said Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro directly ordered the massive deployment as part of the special operation with land, air, naval, and reserve forces to carry out war drills through Wednesday to optimize command, control, and communications and ensure the country's defense. He said the move was in response to the imperialist threat posed by the U.S. buildup of warships and troops in the Caribbean Sea. The Venezuelan military exercises also will reportedly involve the Bolivarian militia, a civilian reserve force created by former President Hugo Chavez. Okay, so we can see also the Venezuelans are getting ready. Okay, so approximately 200,000 soldiers could be mobilized preparing for war with the U.S. So this is looking very serious right now, as Venezuela is getting ready for this, and we know the U.S. now being briefed, or Trump being briefed on these potential strike options on Venezuela also. So it looks highly likely we could see some action down here in the Caribbean Sea very soon. And hopefully it doesn't get too wild down there. We'll see what the U.S. plans to do, but I have a feeling some sort of strikes will be carried out down there onto Venezuela directly in the coming days. But as soon as we get that information, I'll do another update for you guys. But that's going to be it, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in for today's update on November 13th, 2025. Hope you guys all have a great night out there. Take care and be safe. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.